Good afternoon. Today we are here live with my great friend. I call her my great friend because she saved my life in regards to technology. We're continuing to talk about rethinking leadership, as I know we move into a new future, or should I say a new normal. Everyone is making decisions about their company. And for me, I have a nonprofit, and my team is decentralized in Hawaii, Virginia, Maryland, and New York. And I've known Nikia Carter for a while, but it's just now recently, I mean, like real recently, like weeks recently, that I am now what I would call a pioneer of application technology, because for my company to be able to communicate effectively and stay relevant and current with information, because it deals with missing persons and reporting missing persons and advocating for laws. And right now we're advocating for national law. We had the law passed in New York in 2016. And our goal is to make it a national law so that everyone can be reported missing. Every loved one can be reported missing should they go missing. And so I would just like you to introduce yourself, Nikia. Tell them what you'd like them to know about you.
Okay. Hey, everyone. So my name is Nikia Carter. One of the easiest ways to find out more about me, you could just put in Nikia T. Carter into any search engine. Most of the time, it'll be all me with the T.
All right.
Carter with the T. But I also have my website listed, so you could find out more about me if you like. But anyway, little background on me. I have been in the tech space since 2001. I started off as a applications developer, did some intranet development, switched over to developing in SharePoint, which is a Microsoft product. Have owned a business, ran that for about 7 years as a Microsoft partner. Worked for 2 other partners. I've worked for nonprofits. I've worked for military. I've worked for government agencies. I've worked for private agencies in all these capacities. I've been a government employee. I've been a contractor. I've been all over the place. I've been a consultant under Booz Allen Hamilton. And now I work at Microsoft as the worldwide modern workplace tech strategy lead, where I lead the field of about 100 PTAs, which are partner technical architects, and CSAs, which are cloud solution architects.
Okay. And so, as I said, I know for me, having just recently started using Office 365 across my platforms, it makes it easier to communicate. Now, I know not every organization is responsive. As a matter of fact, when you read Good to Great, you'll find in Jim Collins in his book, he says how a company reacts to technological change is a good indicator of its inner drive for greatness versus mediocrity. And so great companies respond with thoughtfulness and creativity, driven by a compulsion to turn, or should I say, realize their full potential. Whereas mediocre companies will react and kind of lurk around, motivated by fear of being left behind. And so, because we all react differently, as I just illustrated with myself, what are your thoughts? Now, that was when he wrote the book, and it's been a few years since 2001. What is your experience about that with companies as you engage with them?
Yeah, there are companies just like people who are ready to move forward, who are ready to leap in. The next new thing comes out, they're on it already, and they run their companies that way. There are people that are kind of middle of the road, like, well, I wouldn't say like I am. I've trained myself to be that way because I see the shiny new tech and I'm like, oh, I want that. And then I'm like, wait a minute, calm down, let other people try it first, and then you go ahead and
there you go. Exactly.
So then I just wait a little bit, wait for the waters to calm down, and then I jump in. But sometimes I get in and start playing with it, at least to check, I get a feel for what's going on. But then there are those people, like you were saying, that are the ones that drag their feet.
Yeah.
They really don't want to do it. and they will only do it if the circumstances are so severe
Mm-hmm.
that they have no other choice. Like they have a break-in, they
Mm-hmm.
have
I see.
a hacker, they
Mm-hmm.
have oh, let's take COVID.
There you go. And now they have no choice, right? Now everybody's acting, right?
And everybody's reacting. And those that prepared ahead of time were already, they were like, oh, we have this technology, this cloud technology. It allows us to be able to work from home. We could have already been doing this. We weren't doing it, but now's the time. We could do it real easy. Everybody go work from home.
Right.
Business is continuing. There might be a little bit of grief in the beginning because, sometimes the technology people are like, but usually companies like that have already started thinking forward, had already started implementing things like cloud technology. um, in this situation, made it through COVID, making it through COVID
Mm-hmm.
without scratches, or without too many scratches. The ones that waited, unfortunately, a lot of them are dropping off now. Um,
You mean
they,
like closing their businesses?
yes, they have not had the experience with any of the technology to be able to say, okay, let's do a quick switch over. It's like a big learning when they try to do the switch over. Then it's to make it even worse. Some of them don't even realize what's out there. So they got to do all of that research. It's just a whole
Oh,
big mess when you wait for the last minute.
mm.
Um, so those companies that waited because they're like, we're fine. We're doing good with just email. We
And then
don't.
came COVID, and now it's like
Yeah.
everybody's like, "What do we do? How do we build our team? And what should our team look like?"
Mhm,
And
mhm.
uh, so
Yep.
in addition to what you just shared, how can we really get organizations to be uh, let technology be a first thought and not an afterthought, where they can, when they build a team, we just want to move them beyond their fears. In other words, like
Mhm.
small organizations probably say, I don't have the money. And if they're a nonprofit, I'm not sure what um, Microsoft has to offer, or if there's any advice to people to be able to become a pioneer like myself of a nonprofit and using their. So I would just see what is it you can share so those who are listening can consider and reach out.
Okay. So I work for Microsoft, and I've been a Microsoft proponent for a long time. So, of course, I'm going to recommend the Microsoft products, which I wouldn't recommend if I didn't believe in them. So let's just put that part straight. For nonprofits, you can also actually get Office 365 for free. For
Okay.
everybody else, it might not be free, but the price is really not. It's a pay. You could pay per month or you could pay per year if you like. The price isn't exorbitant, I would say. The prices range from as low as $5 for, certain features, as high as $35 a person if you wanted like the whole shebang of suites. And then there are bolt-on features that you can also, and products that you can also add in, like being able to add in Microsoft Project
Okay.
online, being able to add in um, things like Dynamics CRM, if you need a CRM system. So there's a bunch of different things that you can put all
What's
together.
the CRM for some of us who?
Oh, it's a client relationship or customer relationship management system.
Okay, yeah. I have another friend who does that, and I just know for me, it makes organizing easier and communicating. Like I don't have to jump off of one email. Like I'm not using my personal email, in other words, to run my business.
Mhm.
And everybody, so I know when I go into my office time, I'm on my computer using Office 365, and so there I have a comprehensive way of being organized. And I just
Yep,
think that is great. So for
yep.
me,
It gives you an easy way to share documents and files and everything, project schedules, all of that stuff with your team. The ability to be able to have the online meetings. So, like when COVID happened and everybody was like, "Oh crap, we got to go work from home," you can actually
yeah,
go work from home.
home, yeah,
Follows you. You just need a good a good internet connection and a computer. and everything basically follows you around. Even your phone, it can follow you to your phone.
I downloaded it to my phone, and
Mhm.
so I have it at the ready. Uh,
Mhm.
and I don't have to be, and I can be focused when I'm actually working from home. I mean, I really missed the fact that when I was in the organization, a government organization, we had Office 365, but some people may or may not have upgraded, So I
Mhm.
don't know what was before Office 365, but whatever it was not as engaging and user friendly.
Mhm.
But like you said, whether you are a large organization or a small organization, it,
Mhm.
it definitely helps to be able to streamline the communication time, especially if you're working full time on your business, whether you're for profit or nonprofit.
Yeah.
Um,
And that is one of the things that you really need to do when you're thinking about how you're going to lead your company.
right.
What technologies are you going to put in place? But I urge you not to just think about the technology first. Think
Okay.
about the strategies in which you need to run your company, the things that you need, processes, procedures that need to be put in place. Then you can automate some or maybe all of it in Office 365 so that it's not a burden. The technology becomes a helping hand to your strategies and not a deterrent. So
Yeah,
you want to put strategies together first.
okay, and I think that's a good point because one of the things that, like I said, uh, from my viewpoint of companies, you have a tech team, and then you have your other part of your operations team,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
I like to approach things from a perspective where we're embedded. Technology is embedded
Yeah.
into your strategy, so it becomes a part of it. So when I talk about rethinking leadership, I'm saying when you people look at, I asked last week for people to look at their strategic plan again
Mhm.
and be able to determine what it is they really want to invest in. Are they investing into the right strategies, the right goals?
Mhm.
Because I know now everybody's revamping, whether they're downsizing or whether you're a startup or a start over, or you're just trying to redesign. And I like to use the word redesign leadership in the sense that you can start working towards sustainment sooner than later, as well as success. Trying to maintain two pathways. If you're trying to maintain what you had and then trying to adjust to what's coming, at some point you just really have to have someone to consult with. And so when I say rethinking leadership, that is a part of it. So it's not just all leadership development or just communications. You really have to sit down and figure out what's a good fit when it comes to applications, or what do rethinking leadership means from organization to organization.
Mhm.
Uh, and so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the change in the workplace as well as the workforce. So we're in a world of technology. We're also in the age of millennium. And millennials, as far as I'm concerned, and technology go hand in hand. They communicate differently.
They were
And
born with the phone.
say
They're
it again.
born with a phone in their hand.
Exactly. And so one of the other presenters talks about how it's been a while before they have no idea, the millennials have no idea what it's like to actually pick up a real phone and have a conversation. So as leaders begin to rethink their approach to the organizational structure, uh, how can companies um, build a team, or how can they embed a strategist or a consultant, even if it's external, or even if it's once a month? But I believe that I'm trying to find out if you want to transform your companies for success or sustainment. How significant, or what do leaders need to better understand when it comes to millenniums and technology? Or what has been your experience with them? How many millennials do you lead, versus baby boomers? What versus Gen X, Gen Z? And I get it all mixed. I had to research it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of letters being thrown around in different terms. And then the millennials, they have their Gen Y or millennial, depending on how you want to call them. But yeah, that in order to maintain the generations coming up, millennials and Z's, because Gen Z is going to be following suit pretty soon. They don't have too much longer. My
Okay.
oldest is Gen Z, and she's got like 3 more years before she goes to college. So
So they'll
she
be
is.
right coming right behind. I know they said the next 10 years, the millennials will be now becoming the new managers. And like you
Yep,
said, it's going to overlap.
yep. And millennials and these younger generations, like I said, they were born with a phone in their hand. They were born with technology at their fingertips. They are
That's
used
true.
to technology. If they come to your company and your company is like, yeah, we have this file server over here, and we have email and we're just using email, and we don't have any digital spaces for us to collaborate. We don't have any places to store files where you can get to them when you're on the go or on the road, or you have to work from home for whatever reason. So we can't offer you any flexibility. You got to be in the office, and you got to work with this antiquated stuff that you're just like,
Oh, no. Oh, no.
yeah. And
Yeah.
they leave. Millennials don't play.
Yeah, I
they
know that.
they
Yeah,
for work.
they don't
Yeah.
hesitate to move organizations
Mhm.
to be able to get to meet their professional needs, and
Yeah.
their
They are very much for work-life balance.
okay.
They're very much for training, and they're very much for technology. If you don't have those things, you might have a seriously high turnover rate when it comes to hiring new talent.
Yeah.
But to go back to your first one of your other statements that you were asking, and I realized I didn't finish answering,
Okay.
um, was how can you get this help with this tech if you need it, and how can you implement the tech into your strategy?
Right.
You're a larger company, you have a CTO or a CIO. Just make sure they're included in those strategy meetings,
Right.
because if they're not, you might pull up some kind of new process, some kind of new procedure, and you think, oh, this could be implemented really easily with the technology we have. And later you pull in the CTO, the CIO, and they're like, why didn't you talk to me about this? Because this is going to, if we would have done it this way, tweaked it a little bit, then
Yeah.
it would have been easier. But the way you set it in stone, we could probably still do it, or maybe we can't. But if we can, it will probably be a heck of a lot harder. So include them in the strategy meeting. Don't include the whole tech team, but
Right.
include the lead. Um, if you're a smaller company, you can't afford a CIO or a CTO. You don't have a tech team. There are consultants. There are Microsoft partners that are whole companies. There
Right.
are Microsoft partners that are consultants, and there are tech consultants everywhere.
So they
If
can
you
start somewhere then, in other words. They don't have to be fearful of what they don't know. Because I know the biggest thing is we don't know what we
can't
don't know, especially when that's not my lane, right?
worry about that. Yeah, you don't have to get out of your lane. You stay in your lane. You do your stuff. You get somebody that does their stuff, and you guys work together on building the complete picture.
Okay. And that brings me to another focus point is where now we're at a point where we're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with transforming our organizations. We got millennials that we have to be very considerate of and their work ethics and now we look at diversity in the workplace at the same time. So I'm just kind of going, what does it sound like to be in a room? But then again, let me just say this. How many times have I come across an article where it says who was at the table when they made that decision? Because that was the immediate backlash. And I have to agree, who was at the table, right? Or should I say who wasn't at the table,
Mhm,
So
mhm.
how has diversity in the workplace, what are some of your experiences you have encountered? And what are some of those conversations, tough conversations, because it has to be.
Yeah, so of course, especially right now, there's a lot of tough conversations happening. Um, I feel encouraged though, because it seems like the conversations now going are taking on more of a deepness than they were before, and more actions are starting to happen. With that being said, momentum is on our side, but we can easily lose momentum if people stop paying attention again.
Yeah.
Diversity and inclusion is also,
Great, Corey.
yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
super important. Also, a big thing for millennials and Gen Z, they are used to all races, for most of them. They
Gotcha.
are expecting that everybody will be treated fairly, that everybody will be included. So if you're a smaller company, you can't hire a person that just does focuses on diversity and inclusion under the HR person that you might have.
Uh-huh.
Just have the HR person get up to speed. But this is really a everybody thing. This is not,
Everybody.
yeah, this is not just the leaders. Everybody in your organization should be aware of, should be working toward, should be having these conversations, should be doing training. Even people that are like me. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm obviously Black, but still, everybody has everybody has biases that are built in that you might not be aware of, that may make you act in ways that you didn't really mean to act like, or you didn't really mean to hurt anybody.
Right.
But if you're not aware of it, you're not aware of it. You're just gonna keep doing what you do. So one of the things that I think you can do for free, but in LinkedIn Learning, there's a learning path called diversity, inclusion, and belonging, because all three things go together. You
Mm-hmm.
got to have diverse people,
Yes.
diverse, meaning man, female, diverse in ethnicity, diverse in background, diverse in experience. So
Yes.
all of those diversities count. um, Inclusion, but don't just take everything else and leave out the ethnicity part. Ethnicity is
Yeah.
very important because
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the backgrounds and experiences. Um, Inclusion, making sure that everybody is included, everybody has a voice at the table, whether it be um, at the table, like
Mm-hmm.
really at the table in a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's later, because some people can't get their thoughts together quick enough to give maybe their thoughts at that moment.
At that moment.
Yeah, some people
So it
need
has to be
extra.
an ongoing process, a re-engaging process, where some people may have questions like, so how do we get there? You know, how do I get there based on, you know, the ethnicity and what their question is? And so, like, I don't know how to tell you how to get there, you know, in regards to what you can do to help. I think it would be good to self-educate,
Mhm.
get a couple of books to start reading, you know, um, to
Yeah,
help
do
you
a learning
get
path.
that.
There are lots of learning paths out there now, including that LinkedIn one.
Okay.
So doing as much research as possible, talking to the people in your org, because it's going to be your org's culture, not any other org's culture.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Because organizational culture. I don't care how much strategizing you do, right? Organizational culture is front and center. Yeah. You know, and
Mhm.
so when you talk about transforming, that's just one more thing to consider. You may want to be a goal-driven leader, but now you have a lot more items in front of you, variables in front of you that's going to impact whether you succeed with your bottom line or not. You know, so I can see some leaders are probably going, okay, this is probably where I bow out, or this is where I dig in.
Mhm.
You know, and so
Mhm.
that's why I say rethinking leadership is about being intentional as to what your role is in regards to not just the success of your organization, but to the professional success of the people that you are bringing on board when it comes to recruiting and retaining individuals. There's a lot of reading going on, I'm sure. At least I hope there's a lot of pages being flipped.
Mhm.
For me, I know, like I said, I'm just now going back to read good to great, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
and I think that, and even though it's 2001, I find even with the research I've done on leadership in general and organizational transformation, when you're going through a transformational process or a reorg, you're now talking about job satisfaction, how people really see their job, and
Mhm.
and if you're going to consider both employee engagement and leadership excellence at the same time, you know. So there's a lot of moving parts here that I think that we all as leaders can consider and just realize that we are kind of like at the starting line again.
Mhm.
So I'll
So,
close out with asking you what have you been reading in the past that has influenced your approach to talking organizations? I know you lead teams. I know you led a team of 100 people today. I know you don't have all the time in the world to read, but like you said, there's some articles out there. So we want to share some of those with us, or at
Yeah.
least about.
Well, as far as books, as far as books on digital transformation and leadership, um, one of them is called Tribes. It's by Seth Godin.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Godin is Godin. And he talks about the different tribes that people belong to and how you can become more influential. There's Hit Refresh, which is the book by our CEO at Microsoft and Bill Gates. So Satya Nadella is the CEO, Bill Gates, and another gentleman, I forgot his name, Greg something, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that book talks about coming into the new digital age and how you can hit refresh in your organization, refresh everything, refresh your technology, refresh your strategy, refresh your goals.
Okay.
Um, and
Digital
that can be,
information.
that can be a really good, helpful one. You don't always have to read stuff because I know for me, I get tired of reading a billion things. With all the reading I have to do all day with all the emails and everything like that.
I totally understand.
Audible.
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 That's right. That's right. Especially if you like to drive places versus because that's all we do now. We go from point A to point B and get there and get back. But
Mhm.
yeah, and so that's exactly what I'm considering now. Especially even if you're in a house and you still want to be a multitasker, it's
Mhm.
good. I just again think it's a great investment right now. If you want to stay relevant, if you want to be effective, and if you really want to impact change going forward.
Yep. And a lot of us have a lot more time on our hands if you're not filling that time with work anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and well, kids, but a lot of us have more time on our hands where you could just listen to that. You could listen to podcasts. There are billions of podcasts probably.
Podcast out there.
Yeah, that's another idea for there's different podcasts on leadership, on
Okay.
digital strategy, all that stuff. So you can look up podcasts too if you are not into reading or you just don't feel like it because it's, you read too much
Oh
all the
no, you're right. I mean, people have YouTube, they have the podcast,
Yeah,
and that's
YouTube.
believe it or not, I listen to a podcast specifically like on Saturdays because I can be able to digest and as well as do other things. You know what I mean? And even when I'm working, listen
Mhm.
to a podcast, or I might get on YouTube and look for one thing and end up going toward another. But I tell you, it's amazing how now I'm pulling some of the books off my shelf and rereading them because now you really have to figure out what works. What's the great fit when it comes to being a leader? And it shouldn't be where I have to know it all because it should be a collaborative approach.
Mhm.
And so,
It
what are
definitely.
your final thoughts?
I'm sorry.
I said, what are your final thoughts you'd like to share?
Final thoughts. Technology is not your enemy. Technology is here to help you. Finding the right technology is as easy as not doing the research yourself if that's not you. Because if you're
Right.
not into tech, don't even try to figure it out. Okay. Have a tech consultant, hire a Microsoft partner, have your CTO or CIO look into it, and come up with the best solutions for the things that you're looking for. Again,
Mhm.
I think Microsoft products are the best, most inclusive, most has the most gives you the most bang for your buck, I should say. Has the most things in it that you would package several other little different things and
Yeah.
put together. You get all of that in one thing or in a few things, depending on what you need. Um, Make sure you're staying up to date on your diversity and inclusion. Always moving forward. It's going to take us a long time to get through this whole.
And
Uh,
we got to get through it together, So we
yeah,
should we should
mess.
be sharing and reaching across, as they would say in the political world, reaching across the aisle. You know,
Yes,
so
yes.
there's no big I, no little I. There's no
Mhm.
big organization, no small organization. Everyone should be really sharing. I'm almost tempted to say that it should be an intentional thought, like can you partner with? Partnerships should be really relevant right now for people. Instead of folding, they can probably partner with someone. You know,
Mhm.
there should
Mhm.
be a more leadership. groups coming about where we can have this dialogue. Because I know I'm sitting here going, I can imagine what the workplace would look like, in
Mhm.
a couple of months or maybe a year. But we're here for a moment, and we might as well learn what that looks like, so we can influence and impact that future, uh, what the new normal would look like. So, Miss Carter, I just want to thank you, uh, Miss Carter. You have really given me some more to think about when it comes to how leaders can re-engage and how they can rethink going forward, especially as a team and especially as a strategist. And I hope that people who are listening will take heed to the fact of going back to the drawing board
Mhm.
and being able to embed a strategist up in their team when it comes to digital transformation. Because
Mhm.
you're transforming a company, and every company, like I said, leadership is universal across industries, and so is digital. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm so grateful. We'll be continuing to talk because you'll be continuing to educate me. What else I can do next now, since I'm a pioneer of application and technology. So that's my new word for the year, pioneer. All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
have a great day. And I know you got more meetings to go to, so I'm not going to keep you. But thank you again for indulging me. And I hope our listeners were able to gain some thought and some insights.
Yep, and they can feel free to reach out as
Oh,
well.
yes, exactly. Okay. And they can follow me on Facebook as well as YouTube. And this video is going to be posted there. So if you have questions, not now, but later, please feel free to do so. And Nakia follows me, and so she'll be able to respond as well. So we're continuing to conversate because we can't do this in one setting, definitely not just in 20 minutes.
No.
All right, then. Well, thank you and have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.